It's Megan Callister presenting this one. Am I remembering right? Do
Um,
you do you know who's because you're my host, right? Are you my
I
host?
am. It doesn't say, it's just got your name and my name.
Ugh. I think it's Megan, and she is in the waiting space, and I'm like, I want to make sure I'm supposed to let her in. It's like I'm not looking
Oh,
at the right form. Hold on. Let me see what I can find here.
okay.
I've got like 14 versions of the agenda.
Okay, I only have one, so
Oh
I
my God.
don't know.
Here we go. Here we go. Let's see. This one. Maybe the names are on this one.
Megan is Utah. I want to make sure I say the right thing. Hey,
All right, today is Wednesday.
yes,
Which one? And
this
which
is the 1 o'clock. Yeah, 1 o'clock.
is it National Guard?
Growing Resilience National Guard 4-H Gardening Program.
Okay, I'm gonna let Megan in. It's got to be Megan. It's got to be.
Okay.
If it's not, we'll boot her back out. Hey,
Yes,
Megan.
that looks like double G.
Double G. Yeah. Okay.
Hello.
Hey. So,
Hey.
are you our presenter? Are we? Am I?
Yes, and then I have two
Okay.
other people joining us.
Okay. I've got a UTNGCYP. Would that be your?
Yes, that will be Julia and then a Josh Martin.
Okay. We're letting them in. All right. I was like, Gypsy, I don't even know who's on my list. All right.
How are you
Um,
guys?
we are good. I'm good.
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 How are
Um,
you?
Oh, good. Just getting through summer.
yeah.
Yeah, the heat.
Mm. So Megan, are you gonna need to share your screen?
Yes, me and Josh will need to.
Okay. So I'm gonna make both of you a co-host then. And that way you should be able to confirm. Okay. And
Yep.
Josh. And I'm gonna make a co-host. Make Josh confirm. Okay.
Okay. Do I need to introduce all three of you or just introduce Megan and you introduce the other two? How you want me to do this?
Whatever you want to do, Gypsy.
Well, I don't want to do any of it. No.
Hey, I'm gonna hop in real quick. I'm gonna present with my camera off. I woke up this morning with like a little fever. Not
Oh,
doing
okay.
super good, but so that's just why everything's off.
No worries. I
Uh,
already get feeling better. Um, Gypsy, you can just introduce me and then I'll introduce Josh and Julia.
okay, from Utah State Extension.
And I'm gonna hang in the background. I'll be watching the chat to help Gypsy with that. And I'll also be managing to let people into the room when the time comes. So y'all just kind of ignore. You'll see those. Just ignore them. We got those. You don't have to worry about that.
Okay. Okay. Mm.
You guys see that? All right, just making sure.
Yep.
You never know. Perfect.
I'm muted. I was just gonna introduce, so Harriet is like over the 4-H military partnership. She's from NC State. And then Gypsy is from Georgia and she I don't even know what county you're in because I don't know the Georgian counties, but she does
Liberty
military
County.
program. Yeah.
Nice.
Fort Stewart.
And then Julia is the National Guard Youth Programs Director here in Utah. And Josh is a horticulture, is it horticulture
Yeah.
faculty in one of our counties.
Awesome. It's good to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Glad to be here.
And my task today is very much to sit in the background and just kind of manage the waiting room and stay out of the way. And I think Miss Gypsy's in the hosting seat, so I'm going to stay out of her way and try to behave in the background.
It's gonna take me all of 3 seconds to do what I have to do.
We've got just a couple more minutes. I'll let them in here in just a minute and
Okay.
we'll start on time so we can end on time.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone. Welcome to our 1 o'clock session, Growing Resilience National Guard 4-H Gardening Program. We have with us as our presenter for today, Miss Megan Callister from Utah State University Extension. If you have any questions or anything, please put them in the chat. We will monitor the chat. I will hand it over to you, Megan.
Great, thank you. And then I have co-presenters with me. So Josh Martin is on from USU Extension as well. He works in our Iron County office and he is the horticulture faculty. And then we also have Julia with us, who is the Utah National Guard Youth Programs Director. So I'm going to share my screen and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so today we're going to talk about our 4-H partnership with the Utah National Guard. Our quick agenda is we're just going to go over our overview of the program, kind of a little bit about the history and how we got to where we are right now. And then I will pass the time over to Josh and he'll talk about his program specifically. And then we will end with Julia talking about their role in this partnership and the impacts it's had on the military connected youth that we serve. So in Utah, we have National Guard armories and bases throughout Utah. The big camp is Camp Williams, which borders Salt Lake County and Utah County, which is our biggest counties in the state. We call along I-15 in Utah the Wasatch Front, and that's where a good majority of our population in Utah is located. We also have U.S. Army Reserve Centers throughout Utah, and then we have an Army Depot in Tooele County, which is just west of Salt Lake. And then Hill Air Force Base is our big military base in Utah, and that's in Davis County. And then our Air National Guard is in Salt Lake County. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because the majority of the big military operations are along the Wasatch Front. So it's easier to serve that population than some of our National Guard families because they are scattered throughout all of Utah, from the north border to the south in rural communities where programming isn't always as easy and readily available. So just a little bit of history of the National Guard partnership specifically. Camp Williams, like I said, is in Salt Lake County, and so for years, the Utah County and Salt Lake County offices were able to provide lots of programs to Camp Williams. So over the years, we've had different types of camps that our staff has gone and taught at, or we partnered with them at their camps and did like a STEM workshop for them. We've done service projects where our healthy living ambassadors would go and put together like garden beds or help purchase soil for the garden that was on Camp Williams. About 3 years ago, we met with the youth program director, and she wanted to find a way to expand the programming we were giving throughout Utah. So not just the Camp Williams kids, youth throughout Utah at the different armories. So with her partnership and her family readiness coordinators, I think that's what they're called, Julia can correct me, they were able to connect different locations in Utah that had a large majority of National Guard's kids that we could reach through our extension offices. So we had a big meeting with the National Guard and with the selected counties that we were going to start the program with. And we found the point of contact in each county and decided who would be our contact. And then we started holding programming in these counties. So our role as extension was we had the knowledge We have the horticulturists. We have staff and volunteers. Almost every county in Utah has a 4-H coordinator, and their main role is to coordinate 4-H activities in their county. So it's different than agents or faculty, where faculty and agents are doing a lot of the scholarly work or the research. Our 4-H coordinators are coordinating the programs from STEM to gardening to cooking, and they're working with the volunteers. So we have a really good basis to be able to find staff and volunteers to help in these counties. And then we also have team leaders that we rely on to help with the education of the program. So USU is able to teach the gardening curriculum, and we use junior master gardening, or if we have, like, Josh is a horticulturist, so he has the knowledge base that he can bring in that programming. And then we also try to help with funding, where we either buy gardening equipment or we buy soil or seeds. Depending on the county, we have 6 counties that participate. And depending on their knowledge or who's doing it, we might have teen volunteers come and help. So, for instance, Sevier County, their coordinator didn't feel confident in running this program. So she found a master gardener and 5 teens to come and learn about the program. So these pictures are, we held a training for these team leaders, and we brought in an expert to kind of talk to them about gardening, and then they developed what their plan was going to look like. So I just point this out because every county is going to look different. When Josh talks about what he does in Iron County, it looks different than Weber County. And so we provide that, and then Julia will go into it a little more. But the National Guard provides the youth, they provide the contacts, they send out the information, and then a lot of times they provide the location. It might be at the armory. If that doesn't work out, then we try to find spaces at our extension offices to hold this gardening program. And so now I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Josh to kind of talk more about what his role is as an extension professional and what he does in his county.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Megan. So as Megan said, I'm down in southern Utah. If you ever heard or been to like Zion National Park, it's a big one. I'm kind of like an hour away from that. We're kind of in a unique place in Utah because we're really high desert. Where I'm at, it's like 6,000 feet. And then there's up to like 10,000 feet in our county in elevation. So we kind of have a big array of stuff. It's kind of a brutal place to grow things. Um, but so yeah, my program, we actually came up with the name this year, is Iron Sprouts. And so we've been mulling over a name for like 2 years, and then that landed at Iron Sprouts because we're in Iron County. So yeah, I've been doing this is my third season actually, doing the Junior Master Gardener program. And so I'm actually going to go over just the program, how I've started it, and then where it is today, how I kind of expanded. Because I always tell everybody whenever I talk about the Junior Master Gardener program, I just say this is the best part of my job. This is my favorite thing to do every summer. And so I just kind of want to expand it forever, even though I can't. But the kids are so awesome. So I'm just going to go over basically through the whole entire thing, of what I do in my program. So first off, I want to talk about a little bit about why I love it. I love working with these kids. Kids are awesome. I have 4 kids of my own. I actually take my own kids to it, 2 of them. They're willing to go that aren't teenagers yet. And I just really my one of my big aims is to get these kids actually connected to everything around them. And gardening is like the perfect thing to do. So it's just like this cartoon on the side. It's funny. It's the only way we can get the kids into the garden. It says, bring a screen. And we actually in our class we do actually use screens. We teach kids with them, so they can understand the tools. Because some kids are like, "Oh, we can't touch that. We're in gardening class." And so we connect them with different things that are available out there. So it's a lot of fun. So In all, really, the my goal of everything is first to have fun with the kids because they got to have fun gardening. So we use tactics and things that I'll show that make it fun instead of just a burden on these families, so they can keep going year after year and love it. But really, we just want to focus on the kids, and I'll kind of talk about how my program has changed in order to focus and help grow these kids. So our first year, I got contacted by Megan and Connie, who was there, and asked me if I would go and take and run this program. And I said, "Oh, of course I would. This would be awesome. Like this is my way into working with kids because it was my first year working in extension. So I wanted to figure out how to do that. So we started out with just one single raised bed that's over here by the armory. It's in Cedar City, and it's small. It's on the side of a parking lot. We have a tree next to it. It was quite an interesting place to grow vegetables. And I told the kids that we don't even have to worry about cooking our vegetables because they were like pre-cooked in the parking lot before we picked them. So it was quite an experience. We just started out with that, and this is our crew. We had a couple more kids, but I'm terrible at taking pictures at these kinds of things. But so we started out with just 4 classes because it was fairly close to summer when they approached me. So we started out with 4 classes that were just out of the Junior Master Gardener materials, and we had tons of fun. We did field trips and things like that. It was a little bit harder there because there wasn't really a classroom that was had easy access where we could run in and out and be crazy. So we went other places and we had some fun and took care of it that way. And actually, of these, all these girls that are in the picture, they've been there. This is their 3rd year actually in the program. All these ones are still hanging out with us, and some more even. So the first year was pretty small, but our second year, I decided to change things up. So I had already my National Guard kids, and it's a little bit difficult because they have to identify as people who want to be involved with the program. So it was a small group, and then we had a 4-H gardening club. That club actually, their leaders were just done. They didn't have the time to run it anymore. So they're like, "Hey, do you want to take over this?" And so I looked at the space they had and I looked at things and I was like, you know what, this would be actually pretty cool. Instead of having just a small group, and then we could actually get these kids connected with each other. And so it's been really fun because we've had these 2 different groups now for 2 years. And even when they show up, these kids, like these little girls that you see in the bottom picture, some of them, they just see each other, they give each other a hug. And they only see each other in the summer, but they still know each other. So that's been really awesome. And so now we went to that second year, we did 8 classes. So that was really cool. We were able to do a lot more things. But then we actually expanded a lot. So we kind of have left the small box behind, and now we have a large area. So I'm going to talk about these things that are listed under there, what we're doing with the kids as we moved on. We also do field trips with them. These are a lot of fun because we have local growers, a couple of vegetable growers, only literally about 2 vegetable growers in our whole county because it's a difficult place to be. They're high tunnel growers and things because it's difficult. But one thing that was really cool is if you notice in these pictures, I only have, I think, 2 boys in the class. The rest are all girls. And it was really fun because these 2 farms are run by women. And so they actually connected it and they're like, hey, like everybody who was there that walked around with these kids taught them, they were all women 100%. So it was really fun for all those girls to connect to that and say, hey, this is really cool. I could do something like this. Like this would be awesome. So, because they grew up like even my girls, they were like, oh, farmers are dad and grandpas because we grew up on farms, but they're into it. So that was really cool connection that I saw there. Also, one thing that we did is we kind of ramped it up. We wanted to get them to dive in to see what's going on through a microscope, actually look in and see the things we're working with. So we took a couple of pictures here. So this first one is just it's of a wing of, I think it was like a little dragonfly, because you can kind of see it with your eyes, but we bring it up to where you can really see what's going on. And then this picture on the bottom left, this one's awesome. This is like the nightmare fuel for some of the kids because you tell them a squash bug or these bugs, they stab the plant, and that's the thing that they need to understand, but without seeing it, it's difficult. So we found a stink bug. I sent him to heaven, and then we took a picture of his face so these kids could see it and they can go, hey, oh wow, that's something that stabs in. And so they could actually see that, and then we actually messed around with it with their hands so they could actually move that because it wasn't alive anymore. So it was just really cool things. Like that's just kind of these levels I feel like need to be added to my programming to bring the kids and really get them involved instead of just talking about general ideas. So the next thing that that I did is I started to work over at the Frontier Homestead State Park. So this is a really cool place. It's actually it's a museum of artifacts from all over Iron County. They have, old cars, Model A's, and different things, but they also have all kinds of farm equipment, and they even have on site old sheep shearing sheds and these old house, a schoolhouse that were 100 plus years old that they brought on site. And so there's a space that they actually had for the gardening club. And then I went over there and talked to them and got the space for myself and asked them, what can I do with this? I said, I have big dreams. What can I do? And they said, dream big, go and do it. And so that's what we've done. So this is our cool new space. This is where we teach the kids inside of here. So this is the old schoolhouse, and it happens to be right next to the garden. And so we teach them in here. And a lot of kids that I teach Clover Buds. I know that Clover Buds talked about in this conference. I go teach them plant classes, and they're excited to go to this little building. They're like, "Oh, we get to go in this old schoolhouse, complete with a dunce cap." You can see on the girl in the front there. So it's really cool. We get to do the activities inside of there. So we have a place to be. Um, and you can see more cayenne inside. We have a garden. These kids love it. This garden that we actually grow there, they get to come and harvest whenever they want. So this is one of our dudes, one of our National Guard kids that just loves it to death. Like this is his favorite thing to do is come to this garden. So they're there all the time. His mom will send me a picture of this stuff because he just loves it. She wants us to connect with him. So we started to, I grabbed this space. This is what it looked like at the beginning. And so we decided we would take it and we'd make it into something really nice. We wanted to make it kind of a showpiece back there. There's goat heads or puncture vine. I don't know all of you what you have a puncture vine where you're at, but it's awful. And having kids plant into soil that has puncture vine seeds, they stab you. Yeah, I had one girl, even after we finished this place, there's one little girl that got a puncture vine, got stabbed by it like every 5 seconds when we were planting. But after 2 years now we don't have any. So these are the kind of before pictures. And then this is in the middle of it. We tilled it all up. We made some beds and we made boxes. And one of the things that I brought into this to these kids is the better ways to grow. I want to teach them kind of latest and greatest, which is we use plastic mulch in the middle picture, that black plastic. It has drip irrigation. We actually use sensors even now to monitor our irrigation. But we want to make it so these kids are focused on the things that are surrounding production and not weeds. We want them to focus and learn about like plant nutrition and insects and how to monitor them and trellis them. We teach them all of the different techniques throughout the year. So that's kind of in the middle. And then we got our master gardeners involved because that's one of our greatest tools we have in Iron County is we have a large group of adults that are master gardeners that work on projects, and they came out there and we put down ground covers and basically made it into a really nice place to be where we don't weed hardly, but we just go and take the kids and we clean it up in the beginning of the season, then we plant and we teach and eat. So it's been really cool. You can see we use tunnels. That far right picture on the bottom, we're using protected cultivation. So we put shade cloth over things because we're so high. We get sunburn on vegetables. So these are really cool things. And one thing that's always funny is we always have parents who stay for our classes and they always go, "Oh, I learned this and I learned that. And how do I find this plastic? How I find shade cloth?" Like it's really cool. So I love that these kids are learning all of these things that are things I learned in college. These are things that I learned from a vegetable specialist for Utah State University that I worked with. And so it's really cool that I can put this in front of them and show them something to make them successful so they don't just say, "Oh, my got a brown thumb" kind of thing. So this is one thing that we did this year. I made this flag. The theme of the place back there is all old things and rusty things. So we wanted these kids from our National Guard kids to be a little bit more connected to this place. So we got this gate, made it into a flag, and put it up because it's really, I guess, one of the difficult things is helping these kids understand that they are something apart from everything else that we do. Because we say, we're doing Junior Master Gardener. We got lots of kids that come and do it, but we want these kids to know that we care about them and that we are geared towards actually making them feel that way. And so this is just one way that we did it. And so these kids thought it was pretty cool that they could have something of their own over there and kind of have some ownership of it. So this year, in year 3, then I decided to solidify our position with the Junior Master Gardener program and do the certification stuff. So we're organized with the Texas A&M through that program, and because this is something I felt like we were missing was we taught kids a lot of things, but we wanted to put them into action. We wanted to help them grow a little bit, but we do have a big age range. Like we have kids that are from 3 to 12 years old. And so I just kind of, if the parents can come with the 3-year-old, they're in. I just can't take care of them, kind of thing. I said, I don't hold hands and I don't do diapers, but anything else, if you'll be there, let's go for it. So I wanted to put these levels in, of kind of the certification, use these levels in order to grow these kids. So that's something that we're now using, we're working towards. So it's been fun this year. We got some kids doing it. Now this year we have 12 classes. We've done 10 already. We at least have 2 more left. I've got close enough with these families that we just schedule it. Summers are busy, things like that. But keeping track of these families, it's just basically like, when can you guys meet? We'll do a Tuesday in the morning each time, but what days? And if they can meet, then we meet. We go have a class. So this year it's really cool because we planted together. Now we're going to harvest together. We're bringing in food preservation. Who's our specialist in that in the county is going to come work with the kids, and we're going to pull some stuff off and we're going to preserve it right there in front of them. So that'll be really awesome. So now we have a lot of returning kids. So now this year we did something else. We wanted to have these kids be connected as well. So if you see that bottom picture with the name badge, that's actually my daughter. So that's why I wasn't worried about sharing it. But so my daughter's been in there for 3 years, and so we created this little thing. Some extension people use these types of things for hours of master gardeners for the adults, but I was like, this is way cooler for kids. So we decided to do, there's an oak leaf at the bottom you can see, and then a watering can. So that's year 1 and 2. And then when you're there for 3 years, you get the golden carrot. So, and then they could put it on their lanyard. So these will be awarded to them actually this year. And then they'll get more. We have more golden things and steps that they can take. So I assume some of our kids will be there 5, 6 years, because they're pretty young. So it'll be really cool to watch them grow throughout the program. So pretty exciting to see that. We also are we teach them a lot about water-wise gardening. Down here, we don't have much water. We're in a massive drought and everything's dried up and it's not good. So we're teaching them a lot about that. We're actually using wool now. We're doing research with wool. We have about 50,000 sheep in our county. And actually, the picture of the sheep that you can see is from our Livestock and Heritage Festival, where they run 1,000 sheep down a parade every year. And so we said, hey, you know what? There's these all around here. Let's grab these. These kids see the sheep. Let's use some stuff from them and let them see how it works. We're also putting in a fruit orchard. I'll show that in a second. But then worm composting. One thing that in my program is hard to do is to keep connected with these kids throughout the off season. And so what I decided to do, we're going to give like 500 composting worms to kids and a bin, and they're going to compost throughout the winter time until we get back together and start planting again. And so just another thing that we can teach them with and connect with them. And it's really fun because the kids they really dig the worms, so to speak. So now I'm about done on here. But
Can
this is
I
the
ask you a question from the
yeah.
chat?
Yeah.
Are you using wool pellets or just sheared wool?
So right now, what we're doing is just with wool, just the sheared wool. We're actually doing different things though. We're using like belly wool, butt wool, the main wool. We're using all different types. What we're using is actually using it as a ground cover. So we have black wool, we have white wool, and we're using those, and then we have sensors underneath to show the kids what it does to the soil, what kind of moisture it can hold to help grow with crops. So. But yeah, we're going to continue and actually use more of it in our orchard as well. So yeah. So here in our orchard, we're putting in that far left picture is how it started. The guy who is over at this guy Michael who's over the park, he's awesome. And I was just like, I approached him, I was like, hey, I would really love to do an orchard. That'd be like the best thing I could ever do here is to put in an orchard and some berries and things. And he said, all right, where do you want to do it? And so I picked out a spot and he said, have it, that's yours. And so we went back there, and once again, I grabbed my master gardeners and we cleaned it all out. And then the far right picture on the bottom is the whole entire space. We have an upper area and a lower area. Actually, he gave us even more than thought I was going to get. And so we can do an orchard, we can do small berries, specialty type of growing. And then we also have other partners that are helping with financing, giving us money for trees and things like that to install this. So we're going to be putting this in September. So this is kind of like my last big step, and now I can build things around this orchard to teach the kids with. So I know that there's depending on where you are, maybe it stays small like ours started at, depending on how many kids and what you can do and your volunteers or whoever. But with me being this is part of my main job, it's just awesome that I get to do this and I have these cool partners. So now, the last thing that I like to do down here is try to connect our military kids to our 4-H programs as a whole. Because I always see the parents come and they drop off usually like one or two kids with me, and then they have other kids that aren't dropped off. And so I'm like, all right, what do your other kids like to do? And try to get them involved in other programs. Because we've got lots of clubs and our summer camps. We always try to get them into the fair. We have even our junior master gardener kids. They actually can get food, the veggies from our garden, and then enter them in the fair. And so that's a really cool thing. And they're excited about that. And then all of my kids are going to be in, all that my gardening kids are going to be in our parade. They're going to do all these cool things. So we're really grabbing them and taking them with us, making sure that they get involved with everything possible. And these families are just super awesome. So we want to connect them with every last possible thing. And one thing with ours, like Megan said, we mostly were focusing on the National Guard kids, but now I actually have other kids. I have a couple of kids. Their parents, they both have dads that are in different parts of the armed forces. So they're in one of them doesn't even live around here. But I grab these kids and we advertise, and we have a fair coming up. We're going to try to find as many of these kids that are, that families are past or present or future military families, and try to get them connected. So then wherever they go in the future, that then they have something to hold on to and say, okay, I'll find it in the next place and see if I can get involved again. So it's just, I think it's really cool that we not only have this, but as a partnership as a whole across the country. So then we can, keep these kids going. Super important, because we won't see them forever. So. Okay, well, that's all about all I have, but just my final last word is just, how grateful I am that I can work with these kids. It's such a great opportunity to help kids. I mean, we always say they're the future, but helping these kids when they're young, and especially these military kids who have unique lives, is just an awesome opportunity. So thank you. I'll turn it back to Megan.
And then, yeah, there we go. I'm gonna share my screen again and turn it over to Julia to share the Utah National Guard perspective.
Hi everyone. I apologize if I'm feeling a little under the weather, so if my voice cracks, sorry, but at least you don't have to look at me while it's happening. Okay, so I'm going to go over the Utah National Guard role and program impact. So can you hit the next slide, Megan? Okay, so just to go over where we have our junior master gardening that we had this year. We had 7 last year, but with changing our 4-H coordinators and the large amount of area that we have to cover, we kind of cut it down to 5 this year. So if you can see, follow these green dots. I have these locations. So the Ogden location at the John Browning Armory, the West Jordan, and then the Camp Williams, Spanish Fork, and Iron County down, that Josh was just talking about, and his is really awesome. So our main what was about a little bit different this year than the past couple of years is we actually had our military families register on Z Suite. And what was really cool is they had the $10 fee waived because of their status with the military. And that helped out a lot. And what is really cool about that is they not only are connected to our program, the Utah National Guard Child and Youth Program, but also they now have another community and other STEM opportunities with 4-H, depending on which county that they're in. And so, like Megan was saying earlier, my main base is Camp Williams here up in Bluffdale, this middle one. And so we kind of take in both Salt Lake and Utah County kids. Another thing that our 4-H helped us out with was Master Gardener and 4-H volunteer recruitment. In the past, there hadn't been many volunteers with Connie, the previous director. And so this year is really, really nice. I came in a little over a year ago and I didn't have a ton of gardening background like Connie. So having their expertise as master gardeners and just 4-H STEM volunteers was really crucial in helping this program be successful. So you can see over here on the right top picture, the two ladies in the hats, they are master gardener. Well, I think they're actually just 4-H volunteers or part-time employees, but they were really awesome. And they said, just give us the materials and we can make it happen. And so they had about 8 classes this year up in Ogden once a week, and it was really, really hot. So a lot of our kids are troopers, and you can kind of see the garden beds back there. There's 2 of them. What was really cool about this year's that we got through 4-H actually. We were connected with a high school out by the Ogden area, and they had their gardening class as part of high school. And so they had a whole bunch of plant starts that they were left over from sales. And so they're like, well, we would just want it to go to a good place. So they gave it to us, it helped us out a lot with funding. And so we're still kind of in the middle of growing those, even though our programs have finished for the year as we're moving into more of the fall. But we have those, and they've been really awesome in producing fruit. Yep, down here you can see on the second picture on the bottom, our master gardener Craig down in Spanish Fork was awesome. He helped. You can see there's this garden bed outside the armory, just kind of like what Josh was saying in his first year. So we have that outside the armory, and the kids and the parents can come anytime and pick the produce as needed. And also show you a picture here, the next slide. But our last little thing is curriculum development. So you can kind of see here the skills and knowledge obtained through our program. So we did plant growth and development. We did some composting and soil quality. Like Josh was saying, the kids love having the worms. Although some of ours didn't do worms this year, we did do little soil or composting jars that they could take home with them and shake and add their own brown and green material to them. We did a whole class on weather impact on gardening. So what water and wind and rain and everything do to our plants. We talked about pollinators and insect life cycle, food production and distribution, landscape and garden design, and weeding. So kids, it's funny, the parents would come and we teach them, you got to pull out the weeds by the root. And now the parents are saying, oh, they can come home and help out with our weeds. But it's not as fun at home as it is coming to the armory and and pulling out the weeds, which, because they're raised garden beds, there's not a ton of weeds, which is really nice. So this year we did a salsa garden, and the kids just loved going every week and seeing how the plants are progressing and growing and the fruit that was developing on them. They love getting their hands dirty, and that's a really big part that the parents really appreciate is we're getting them, off their screens and off of, just different devices and getting their hands in the dirt, and they love getting their hands dirty. Impact, the way we track our attendance, we had about 8 classes for each of the locations that we had, and so each class added up over time to be about over 100 kids. Utah National Guard kids ages 5 to 12, which was really awesome, and we were able to keep most of them throughout there was a little lull in the middle of our programming, but we were able to keep most of them and retain them. And they also, it's a great way for them to become aware of our program and continue on during through for our programming throughout the rest of the year. A lot of awareness of other Utah National Guard child and youth programming and 4-H programming and resources. Lots of positive adult interactions, especially with our volunteers who are just really invested in helping these kids develop and teaching them what they know. And a huge impact that we'll probably pull out the gardens maybe end of October or November, but our soldier family readiness specialists love having the gardens in their armories because they provide fresh produce or food to families who may need assistance with that. And so it's wonderful. A lot of the guard families can come whenever they want and just pick the the produce as it comes up. And we have a one right outside of our range control. And so all of our, our majors or captains are coming through and just picking basil and taking it home, and they love it. And they absolutely just say, keep doing this. We want to keep supporting this program, and it's wonderful to have that relationship. It not only helps our relationship with the children and families, but also with the leadership and having them uh, come to our gardens and see what we're doing and the impact it has on on their families, because readiness is a huge focus within the military, and if we can help their kids and their families be more resilient and ready for changes that come within the military, they really appreciate that, and they have their own support system with our programming. And that is all I have. But you can see, admire the gardening pictures. Are one down the bottom left. That was middle of July, which was really, really hot, but the plants seem to grow really well down there. And so you can kind of see we have hoses there for the drip system, and we have cages, and they're loving the kids love getting in there and getting their hands dirty. But that is all I have. So we left a few minutes at the end of this, yeah, for some questions. So feel free to ask.
I think someone raised their hand. I'm not sure who it is, but feel free to. One question is funding source. So I can speak from the extension side, and then I'll have Julia speak. Um, so as far as funding source for extension, sometimes I will use, like, I work for the state 4-H office. I'm the 4-H military partnership. I'm over that program and the military liaison. So I use some of my budget, like for the curriculum, if any of the staff needs curriculum. As far as Z Suite, I'm not sure if all states use Z Suite, but that's what we use in Utah to register 4-H members, and we have a $10 fee. We were very lucky that the state program director found money to cover the costs for the military, for the National Guard kids to become 4-H members. So on extension side, we just kind of use what we can find. If we have grant money, we use that. A couple years ago, we got a grant through National 4-H Council, the Pollinator Grant. So we had pollinator ambassadors, and that was able to set us up to start the program. And then Julia, I'll let you speak on National Guard funding.
Yeah, so our funding comes out of just our yearly budget, and we try throughout the year to just um, kind of budget how much money. I mean, this is at least 3 month long process. So this is our summer. Besides our camp that we hold, this is our summer activity, and we budgeted about, I think, 1,500 this year, which is relatively low cost for 5 clubs, and we're really lucky to have the partnership with the 4-H to help cover some of those costs.
And I would guess that Josh uses some of his operating budget. So different counties, if they have money, I try to like soil, I try to get soil if they need it, but a lot of our counties are bought in, so they use their county funds, their operating budget for things that they need as well. The first question from Christina said, is Utah the pilot state for this? Does this collaboration exist elsewhere or with other service branches? And I don't know that answer. Um, we started it here, um, basically because Julia's predecessor loved gardening. Connie JMG was near to her heart. And so that is kind of why we went that angle. And we've just been so thankful and lucky that Julia wants to continue this partnership because it's awesome. But that's kind of how it started here. I'm not sure if other states, other um branches of the military do it. I'm just anyone know? I'm not sure. Maybe Harriet or knows. I'm not sure.
I do know that I think it was Tennessee National Guard. They did something like that this year. But I'm not sure about other branches of the military.
And I do think that, of course, Junior Master Gardener is a standard curriculum that's available across the board. And so I love that you all are going through the certification route and really making it official. But and I do think that people are using lessons, but I'm not sure anybody's done kind of the extensive implementation that you all have done. I haven't seen a program that's got kind of the levels that you all have in Utah. So.
I will say Josh's is a lot more extensive than mine is. We haven't done the certification quite yet. We're kind of looking for that. But yeah, the master gardeners, if you all don't have, no, they need 20 hours to maintain their certification, 20 volunteer hours. And so this is just a great way for them to fulfill that need.
It's awesome too to see the partnership that exists between the horticulture program with Josh being a horticulture agent and the 4-H program. That doesn't well, I wish I could tell you that that was the model across the country in every county. It's kind of not. It's awesome though, because there is an expectation and extension that our subject matter agents, whether it's horticulture or family consumer sciences, have a youth component. You got to find the right partner. You got to find the right one. Maybe find one that has 4 kids and loves being where the kids are. It's kind of helpful. I mean, that was kind of serendipity. But that's awesome. And then I think too, when you have a program that's as organized and structured as Junior Master Gardener is, and then you're able to take some of the kind of one-time offerings or shorter term offerings that we're able to do on some of our armories and some of our bases and installations and kind of marry them up. It again, it gives you a richness that it's hard to find. But when you find it, y'all hang in there because it's a very cool program.
Yeah, we lucked out with Josh. Um, in the past we've had a garden in Washington County, and it's hard in Washington because their growing season is so different because they're so different in the south from the north. But he's also a horticulture agent who runs that, Ben. So we have lucked out with the southern part of our state. The northern part we have more 4-H coordinators that do it, which they do awesome. We just don't have the extensive knowledge as the horticulture people. So that's where we really dive in to with our Master Gardener program.
Well, I love too, Josh, that I'm teaching these kids stuff I didn't learn till college. It's like, oh.
Mhm.
Yeah, I grew up in this stuff. I grew up gardening, huge gardens, and I never knew it. I was a professional weeder, and I'd throw it out there if anybody ever wants curriculum type stuff. I mean, we have the Junior Master Gardener curriculum that you can get easily, but I always have digital copies of all of my activities, which are far and beyond what you'll find in the Junior Master Gardener. because I like to try to make sure that these kids that are coming for all these years that they are building all the time. And you will max out with just a regular program, but if you can keep it going. So if anybody ever wanted that, Megan has stuff, Julia has stuff, and then I have stuff, just extra things that you could pick and choose. So.
Awesome. Any other questions? Great. Well, thank you guys so much for letting us share this program with you. We love it. And we hope you have a good rest of the conference.
We would like to thank Megan, Josh, and Julia for this valuable information. It was actually good for me because we have some master gardeners that have come in and want to do some gardening stuff with us. So this was perfect for me to be a part of this. It is 1:46 right now based on my clock, Eastern Standard Time. Please don't forget that our general session will begin in about 13 minutes, and I will post the link, hopefully, in the chat so that you all can just click on it to get into the next session. Thank you all and have a great day.